he's always on my mind because you can't plan life, but I had never planned for him to take care of me.
And it's the worst kind of frustration because if you give in to the anger, then her behavior's going to escalate, mine's going to escalate, and we both end up crying, and one of us hurt, usually me.
You just know, after being physically, mentally, emotionally drained, that you need help, you know? I went for many years and thought, like a lot of people I talked to, I don't need that, I can deal with it, I can handle anything.
But there comes a time when caring for a loved one in constant need that you can't always deal with it, you can't always handle it, and you do need an hour of grace. Charles Davis may have retired a decade ago, but he's not resting. Today, Mr. Davis is employed as he is every day in the most demanding job of his long life. He has become the full-time caretaker of his wife Hilda, his companion of 35 years, who after 4 strokes is bedridden and immobile. Hilda needs constant care, and for Charles, there is no respite.
Well, it's just certain things that you get used to, you know. I guess you believe in what they call a hereafter, and you don't get no rewards in this world, but you will in the next world.
Witnesses to his daily life might well say that Mr. Davis demonstrates tireless devotion to his wife. But this compassion and commitment is not tireless at all. Not for Charles, and not for Susan Hartung.
Exhaustion. You know, there have been nights where we just don't sleep. Our day starts at 5:30 in the morning. Warren's in special education in a regular school, but he gets picked up at 6:30 in the morning. And if I sit down after 9 o'clock at night and put my feet up, I'm asleep.
Susan and her husband George have 4 children.
Warren is 18, Emily is 13, Graham is 11, and Matthew is 8.
The 2 elder children, Warren and Emily, have autism.
My children have intensive needs. Warren is a very passive, loving, friendly child, but he has very intense self-care needs. He needs to be fed, he needs to be dressed.
Emily is far different, yet no less challenging.
Emily, my daughter, is what's considered a far higher functioning autistic child. She has language. She probably can read and write on a 3rd grade level. She's very independent in many of her self-care skills, but she has no idea of what danger is. And she has a lot of behaviors that are very self-injurious.
Buds, what do you know, huh?
Things that you can typically go to with young children, we could never go to with Warren and Emily. We could not go to PTA meetings with them. We couldn't go to friends' houses for dinner. We couldn't go shopping in a mall. I can't tell you the number of places I have been asked to leave because of the behavior of Warren and Emily.
Like Susan, Vicki Henley is a mother, but no longer a full-time hands-on caretaker. Vicki has multiple sclerosis. In 1991, Vicki was a working woman, pursuing her dream of a career designing wedding gowns.
And then I started feeling real funny. I would trip over nothing. So I was going to my desk one day, my walking got very, very slow. So then I contacted my doctor, had a battery of tests done. Long story short, I was diagnosed with MS. April 29th of 92.
2 years after the diagnosis, Vicki had retired and had begun needing assistance on a daily basis. This ever-increasing need was, and is, met by her son, Samando.
He went away to Syracuse University in 93, because at that time I was still ambulatory. And he had told me he would commute from home and go to college here. And I said, well, no, because your dream was Syracuse. You wanted to go to Newhouse. For communications, I said, so you will fulfill your dream.
His schooling completed, Samando is now a public affairs professional.
He comes directly home from his job every evening to see what I need and get me situated. And so he doesn't really get a chance to relax and to do things that he would like to do.
Kathy Hammett lives in the house she grew up in, with the person she grew up with, her brother Jody, who has mental retardation.
Then there were times when I was very protective of him. People would stare, make comments, be nasty towards him, and I was very protective and very outspoken about keeping him closer towards me and hovering over him, and taking him, so to speak, under my wing. I had told my family all my life that my choice was to take care of Jody. I just knew that all my life.
Are you going up to Devilwood?
Jody, unlike maybe some other kids with developmental disabilities, is dependent on me for general activities of daily living.
That's right. Here,
So I assist him with those.
The repetitive tasks involved in providing day-to-day care for a loved one, sibling, child, parent, spouse, as simple and routine as they may be sometimes, can be frustrating, exhausting, overwhelming. Their provision can curtail the enjoyment of life for both caretakers and those being cared for. But for everyone, there is respite. Services provided by Respite Services of Montgomery County. Vicki uses her respite service allotment to provide in-home care, often on weekends, for the sake of her son.
Respite service has given me a peace of mind, and it has allowed me to feel more confident and not feel guilty about my son having to. I feel like I was absorbing all of his time.
Kathy utilizes her time on weekends too, taking advantage of the Arc of Montgomery County's Respite House.
The Respite House is a Rambler, a home up in Potomac, Maryland. It houses 3 program participants at one time. Each participant has their own room. They are allowed to stay there a day at a time, a week at a time, and a weekend, whatever. A lot of families utilize their hours from the respite program for the house. It provides families a break. The program participants can interact with other program participants, which is beneficial for them, as well as giving the provider a break, a rest period. I couldn't live without it. It's beneficial for both of us. It allows him to be with people that, are of the same type as Joe, and it gives me freedom.
And freedom is what Susan's family can now experience from time to time, too. Though her family's been utilizing short-term respite services for years, a new and exciting use was employed recently while Respite Services looked after Emily and Warren.
2 years ago, for the first time, with a lot of help and hand-holding from Karen at Respite Services, we took our first trip without Warren and Emily. It was wonderful, and we realized how important that was, so we took another trip this year. And now the boys, the minute we get back, they start talking about, well, where are we going to go next year? And this is where I want to go next year.
Where are we going on vacation? It's a question Susan's younger boys couldn't ask before. It's a simple question, a question of normalcy.
What respite has meant for us is to know for short periods of time what normal is. Just to have a guilt-free break, to just be able to do typical things, go to friends' houses, go to the mall, just be able to lead a life that is not filled with resentment and tears all the time.
The respite has afforded us the opportunity to relax.
It's wonderful. It provides benefits for yourself as well as your loved one.
As it has for these people, Respite Services of Montgomery County offers temporary but vital relief from the duties of primary caregiving to family members who are looking after a loved one with a disability or chronic illness. Equally importantly, respite care provides an enjoyable, life-expanding experience for those who receive it. Respite is an important part of an overall system families need to maintain loved ones at home.
It's different. When you go out here to work $7, $8 an hour, you working to a paycheck. When you got something at your home, you working to love.